Geez, if there was ever a day to have a live stream of my reactions, it was probably today in the Vikings Bears game, where I said, it actually worked out perfectly with my prediction. I said in the preview show, we did the Monday morning headlines, the headline you'll see on Monday morning for a particular game. And I addressed Vikings Bears and said, barely escaped. Vikings send Bears into early hibernation with game-winning field goal. And that is actually exactly what happened in terms of barely escaping this game. With the ending was just so Vikings. And I get really worked up towards the end of games when I think things are just like the world is against us as Vikings fans. And then I usually go from anger, like immediate anger, to just numbness. And today was complete numbness. I mean, I was at the end of this game, Vikings are up 8 at the 2-minute warning with the ball, on like the 5-yard line, 4th and 1 from the Bears 5. I think it was inside the 5. And Kevin O'Connell, rightfully so, kicks the field goal to go up 11. The game's over. For every team in the league, except, maybe like your Jets and your Browns and your Vikings, the game is over. We had a 99.9% chance to win, according to ESPN. 99.9. I love looking at those models after something crazy happens because you just, statistically, like, of course you should win that game. And this one was about as high as you could possibly get. Up 11 with under 2 minutes left. And from there, you just have the spiral. And the Vikings, unlike any team, I mean, even including your other Black Cloud franchises, have this ability to collapse on all fronts at the same time within, minutes and have a game completely derailed. So it's stuffed on 3rd and 1, go to 4th and 1, you hit the field goal, thankfully, and then you allow like the massive kickoff return. And then you allow Chicago to go down the field. I hate prevent defenses. And the Vikings, 11-point game, it should be over. Like, this was a weird one. But I hate prevent defenses because and this wasn't really a case because the Bears were already on the 40. I guess I'm just venting on prevent defenses. But the Vikings let Chicago get down the field. They convert a 4th and 3. Caleb runs for that. And they score with 21 seconds left. Of course, they then convert the 2-point conversion to make it a 3-point game. And even though no one in the NFL had recovered an onside kick to this point in the season, whenever you're going up against an onside kick, you feel a little uneasy because there's always that chance. And I'm sure everyone here has had an onside kick recovered when they're, for the team they're rooting for and the team, and when they're playing against someone. It's just you're always uneasy when it comes to onside kicks. So of course, Johnny Mundt, who's been great this year for the Vikings as well. Any Viking fan knows Johnny Mundt has made some big catches throughout his time in Minnesota, but he's had a couple big ones this year. Generally very reliable and just a fun guy to root for. I don't know what he's doing on the onside kick. I mean, I understand his position is to go and block the oncoming Chicago player, and you're trying to get, in this situation, TJ Hockenson to field the onside kick. But you got to be aware of where the ball is. You just have to. If it hits you, the ball wasn't even going to go 10 yards. And if it hits you, it's live. And that's exactly what happened when it hit Johnny Mundt in the ankle. Chicago player jumps on it. And all the Viking fans around the world are going, what the hell? I'm sure most people left their seat because the game was over. And all of a sudden, you're walking back into the room going, oh, here we go again. Of course they recovered it. Here we go. And Caleb fires like a 25-yard pass, middle of the field. This time, nearly another block field goal, by the way. But of course, it looks like it's bending out for Chicago, and then comes back in, and we're going to overtime, and you just go, like, can we catch a break? Well, no, you can't, because we lose the coin toss as well. And luckily, the defense steps up. Sam Darnold and the offense get the ball. And Sam Darnold, he hasn't been as good as he was the first 5 games. Everybody knows that, who's watched the Vikings. And the national media and most football fans have all been talking about Sam coming back down to earth, but he really has consistently this year, even in games when he struggled, he has delivered in clutch situations on must-have-it drives. He's been pretty good. I know you can point to a few. The Detroit loss, we had a chance to put that one out. Couldn't do it there. But Sam Darnold has had some really big drives, both when he was playing his best football this year and when he wasn't. he leads the Vikings on just a really impressive drive where we had a lot of penalties set us back earlier on in that series. Let me see if I can see it here. 10 plays, 68 yards, 5 minutes, 30 seconds off the clock in overtime. Sets up a situation where Romo's, and what a great job he's done filling in for Will Reichard, hits the game-winning field goal. And, all Vikings fans, of course, for a last-second field goal, even if it's under 30 yards, you're holding your breath because we know who we are. But Darnold, 22 for 34 on the day, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns. He just had some big-time throws, guys. What should have won the game, the 34-yard pass to TJ Hockenson, 3rd and 12 in that situation. Vikings are trying to run out the clock. That should have won the game. I mean, he gets hammered on the throw and hits TJ perfectly in stride. They also had the throw to Jefferson that got called back. That would have been a touchdown. Sam Darnold was tough on this game. He got knocked down quite a few times. One time, it looked like a bad ankle injury. Comes right back in the game. And you can't blame it on the offense today. There's been a lot of games that we can look at and say the offense let us down in the biggest moment, but not this week. Sam Darnold was very good against a very good Bears defense, too. I mean, this is one of the best defenses in the National Football League. And Sam Darnold was able to deliver. When momentum, I'm as much a believer in momentum as anyone that I see in the media sphere. You can't ever account for shock. That's something that you can't prepare for. When you get slapped in the face and you have an 11-point lead disappear in under 2 minutes, you can't set those scenarios up in practice, how you're feeling, how the team's responding. That comes down to your character. That comes down to the culture that you build for your organization. And Kevin O'Connell has done a great job of making this Vikings group resilient. They showed the graphic. Since he's taken over, they have the most one-score wins in football. The Bears have the least. Nothing again, not trying to diss Chicago here, but there's a difference in those two cultures right now. You see what happens in Chicago year after year, the dysfunction there is. You see that with the Jets. The Vikings get unlucky. They have heartbreak, but they are a very competent organization. They're well run. They're well coached. They're ready for big moments. And Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell, that whole team was able to respond. The defense as well, who just gave up, the 11 quick points, they were able to respond with the big stop of Caleb Williams and that offense when it felt like they were just going to go down and score after winning the coin toss in overtime. Offense gets the ball. You have your setbacks. Cam Robinson's hurt, and they go on the game-winning drive. I mean, really just a great job from everyone on the Vikings. Shit happens when you play. That was kind of the approach I was starting to take. As my anger and numbness wore off, you're just playing a football game. Anything happens. There's a reason you keep playing. And I was just really impressed with the way the team responded to a stunning situation, because you can easily fold there. And this was a must-have game for keeping up with the Lions, who it's going to be hard to catch them, but they're not invincible. And the best, the easiest way for the Vikings to drop out of that race is to hurt themselves. And today they did, and they were able to respond and get the win. Last thing on this game, I don't want to go too long because I know we got a lot of games to talk about. It's not a Viking podcast, just hosted by a Viking fan. Justin Jefferson had 2 receptions for 27 yards. People can look at that and say he had a bad game. But when you watch the Vikings play, if you're watching these games, the Justin Jefferson impact is immense. I mean, I saw a great tweet. Someone said, when you triple team Justin Jefferson the whole game, here's what happens. Aaron Jones, 22 carries, 106 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Addison, 8 catches, 162 yards and a touchdown. TJ Hockenson, 7 receptions, 114 yards. The Justin Jefferson effect is the most impactful effect an individual player has on offense, non-quarterback in the league. It's not really close right now. He's unstoppable if you put one guy on him. And he had 2 catches, but a big one in overtime. Help move the chains and lead us on our game-winning field goal. But the attention that he commands opens everything up. And Jordan Addison, we finally got a game from him where he really exploded. And this is what the offense, this is the picture that Vikings fans had at the start of the year. Was Jefferson either dominating when you leave him on an island, or everyone else, the other weapons, being able to lift this offense to higher levels and take Sam Darnold to a higher level that he's never achieved in the National Football League. So the Justin Jefferson effect is real. And even though his numbers were low, I mean, he draws so many penalties. It's just an amazing player. So great job to Justin and the rest of the team. Shout out to Jordan Addison, TJ Hockenson, all of them. Great job. For the Bears, real quick, Caleb, 32 for 47, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. Some really high highs in this game. The touchdown drive they had in the first quarter is the first lead the Bears have had in the first quarter of this season. He threaded a pass into Keenan Allen and wound up going for 40 yards. This little scramble he had later in that drive, flown it to DeAndre Swift, who he lost track of the ball, looked back up, and just dropped into his hands, perfectly placed. You get these moments with Caleb where you say, that's special. That's like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And then you have these situations where 4th and 3, misfire to Keenan Allen on a kind of got to have it drive. You have the 12-yard sack on 2nd and 9 in overtime that basically killed that drive and gave the ball back to the Vikings, Jonathan Grenard, where Caleb just holding on to the ball for way too long. If you go back and watch that play, Caleb had all day to throw. Nothing's there. And finally, it was almost, I mean, you're just watching the play and the Vikings guys are all stalled at the line. And you're like, all right, someone do something. It was one of those weird plays where you're just waiting for something to happen. And, as Caleb's getting chased, throw it away. Can't take the sack. Then they had the false start, I think it was, and you move back. It's 3rd and 26. It's a disaster situation. The Vikings get the ball back. So you still have these moments where you're blown away by Caleb, and then there are moments where you're blown away in a worse way. You're like, what are you doing? That can't happen in the NFL. That's what Jack always talks about. This isn't Arizona State anymore. I still believe in Caleb Williams. I think he'll get there. I understand the people who are getting impatient, but you have to be patient. Like, patience is a virtue. I mean, I don't want to say it. I don't want to sound corny, but you got to be patient with these guys. Sometimes it takes a little longer than you want. So Chicago, that's the difference there between winning and losing, is those big plays there. The mistakes that they had. Another kick blocked today. Almost had their game tying kick blocked. Like, Chicago's getting closer, and they've done a good job of playing hard football since everything that went down with Shane Waldron a couple weeks ago, the Hail Mary that really derailed their season. They'll get there, I think. Not this season, but there's reason to be optimistic in Chicago. And today, that was a great comeback. I know they kept saying resilient. I was getting tired of hearing that on the broadcast, but 11 points down with 2 minutes. Caleb made big throws. You want that if you're a Bears fan. Even though it was crushing to lose like that, you want to see Caleb go down, get the touchdown 2-point conversion, make the big throw to set up the game-tying field goal. That's what you want to have happen. That's what you want to see later in the upcoming years, where those games are turning into wins that impact playoff seeding and can eventually lead you on playoff runs. So you'll get there eventually. You just got to give it some time and not overreact. It's so easy to overreact to everything in the NFL, whether it's post-game or literally during the game, play-by-play. You go, this guy sucks, and then he makes an amazing play, and you go, wow, there's a reason he's the number 1 overall pick. Just be patient with it.